What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dre, and we're back. We are back, season 2, episode 2 of The Pulse. We have some good conversation, some good topics for y'all. We're going to talk about some campaign promises, some campaign lies, and what we can do to fix them as a people, what we can do on the ground floor. But before we get into all of that, I want to introduce you guys to a couple of my co-hosts up here. Let's get into it, girls.
Hey, it's Armani, the activist. You already know what it is.
Hey, it's your girl Samia, the boss lady. You know what I do. How you
Hello,
doing?
ladies. Hello, ladies. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start. First topic of the evening, we're going to talk about President Biden, a couple of campaign promises he has made, and whether or not he has kept up to them. We're going to be calling this our, what do we just say? We're going to call this our 30-day checkup on President
Yes.
Biden. He's made a lot of campaign promises, especially coming off of what we as a younger generation understand to be one of the worst presidencies that we have, or one of the most tumultuous presidencies we've experienced in our lifetimes. And he's made a lot of campaign promises to, get our votes and try to, move us forward past such a chaotic point in history.
Yes.
And I guess we're going to see how he's doing so far, what he has done, what he hasn't done, what he still has time to do in his first 100 days. So who's going to start us off?
Well, I'll start. I know that with Biden, he's made a lot of promises, especially when it came to restoring our economy, especially when it came to money. Also making sure with COVID-19 that we're gonna be as rigorous as possible and actually, because like there's a lot of countries out there that are actually starting to flatten the curve, but as you see, the United States has not, because we're not in a unified front and we're not monolithic in everything. So you see how that's going. As well with healthcare. He's talked about he's talked about student loans, which I'll get to that point later, and I'll let Samia get on her rant about that. But there's so many different promises he's made, especially to the Black community, because he said that he's going to make sure that he does everything he can in his power to give back to us, because we went out in numbers. So I know so far, based off the article I've read, that so far he has. Oh no, my light went out, y'all. I'm sorry. Hold up.
We can still see you.
I know. I'm so sorry. Let me. Technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. Can't let that happen again. Ooh. There you go. I'm back. So far, he's focused on trying to basically reverse all of Trump's orders, because that is obviously with Trump leaving office, he's like, I got to get this, and this done, because that man has ruined everything. But so one of the things that he's done so far is take the Muslim ban off. So basically reversing the unconstitutional Muslim ban for with that. Then also he's working on, or he has worked on the transgender ban in the military. So that was something he reversed that Trump had ordered. Also, he has, then there's something about gun control that. So yeah, he's working on several different things, but as you can tell, of course it's slow, because it's only the first 1 or 2 months so far, and it really isn't obviously we want to see more stuff, and hopefully it will, but I'm he's treading on thin ice, because he says some stuff that I didn't really like, and I think Samia can definitely expand on that. So
Well, he like she said, he's been trying to reverse some things, and I understand that, and we need to be very mindful of what he is reversing, because there are things that were put in place that maybe you may not be aware about, and aren't necessarily bad. There are some really heinous things, like a Muslim ban or a transgender ban. Those things obviously need to be handled immediately. Because that's just ridiculous. But him handling those type of things. But our dear friend promised to forgive a certain amount of student loans, and his number that he threw out, and I heard him throw it out, $50,000, was offered to him this week. And when offered to him, he came back with I would never do that. Interesting. Because I could have swore I heard you say that many times before you try to get somebody's vote. Which is rather interesting. His response is, I'm not gonna do that because that doesn't make sense. I'd rather not give money to elite students who basically he feels like elite students don't deserve it. And that's not fair either. That's not fair either. And then I'm gonna give the money to early education, early childhood education. That's where it would better be used. Now, I've been living long enough to understand that every time they say that, that money goes absolutely nowhere. So to me, for you to have lied to get in the office and then to have lied about why you're not going to do something, that's double. That's double. So yesterday I did post a rather lively post, and you can watch it on your own time. But I just really feel infuriated by that. Because I do understand that student loans have been brought up a million different times. This is not the first time that student loans have been brought up. And I know that it's kind of insane to expect the government to excuse a debt towards the government. Because most of that is towards the government. Most people's loans are through Fed Loan. There's a couple that's, through Sally Mae and other places like that. Sally Mae is losing right now anyway. Big lawsuit. Lots of people was getting off right. So most people was concerned about their federal loans, of course.
Yeah.
And it is kind of bizarre to think that they're going to forgive that, but that's even more reason they should. If the government knows that we're in a pandemic and people are needing stimulus packages and people are losing their jobs and people are out of money and in bad way, why not forgive them a debt that literally most people are not going to pay? Like, just be honest. And most people can't afford it. And that's where I was at. We spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college just to work at a job that doesn't even pay us a quarter of that.
I'm not ready to graduate yet, so I already know,
what I tell anybody while they're in school, girl, get you an internship, man. Get you in with somebody that you need to know. Rub shoulders all 4 years. Because that's the only way you get that good job. Because that degree don't mean squat.
Wow.
It sucks because you have to have it to get into a lot of jobs. You do. They've risen requirements at a lot of different places. You might even have to have what's it the 2-year degree? An associate's. Yeah. You might even have to have an associate's at some places, depending. Or you can only work at some place for so long before you try to go get it.
You have to try to go back, right?
Right. So they're making it so you have to be in debt. Like it's absolutely necessary unless you work in a trade. And you're making me have to take this, and then you're making me pay, and then you're not giving me no type of reprieve.
See, I saw an interesting tweet the other day, Samia. It was along those lines of what you were just closing up with. That was like something similar to the idea of a degree is basically a glass ceiling for lower income and lower privilege, underprivileged communities, because most of the jobs that you have in the real world don't require you to do 4 years of college. Like the training, what you're actually doing day to day on your job, you'll learn that on the job. Like you learn that once you get there. So the idea that you have to go to school for 4 years to fully develop yourself, unless you're something like a doctor or a psychiatrist or something along the lines where you would have to think on the fly and have to make very quick decisions based on a vast, pool of knowledge.
Right.
For the most part, working at a desk job, you do your daily tasks based on what you're taught once you start at that job. So the idea of like unskilled labor or like, it's very much a myth, a glass ceiling.
It infuriates me. I graduated with people, and I went to college, and I came back from college, and I know people who never even stepped foot on a campus, and they're making $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 because they went into a trade, And my parents didn't go to college, so their thought is, "You going?" They went to college for a time and didn't complete it, so they're like, "You're going to school, not an option." Because that's what you need to do. But in reality, where I work at, I don't have to have my degree. I didn't have to have my degree whatsoever. Yeah. I could have went and got my license just like I did and been finished in in two months and making $100,000, $30,000, $300,000 by the time I was this age.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Now, along the same lines of schools, we have seen another one of Biden's promises in his first 100 days, being that he wants to open at least, what did he say, 50% of the schools for at least one day a week.
Lord.
I have my own thoughts. Would
They
one of
just
you guys
rushing
like
it.
to start?
I just my sister, I have a sister who's a teacher, and I have a nephew that's supposed to be going back to school as well. And they, oddly enough, our school system is had them open the schools up in the middle of the semester,
Mm,
in the middle of the school year, not school semester, but in the middle of the school year. And what frustrates me is that I understand that, almost we're approaching almost a year in this pandemic and
mhm,
yet no progress.
mhm.
Okay, even though they got the vaccines out, but then I'm hearing a little bit of stuff about that, but I'm not going to get into that. I digress. But but I just feel like they're rushing the process because if you rush these teachers and these students into these schools and any of these people get sick, that's a liability. That is a liability. And then
Mhm.
also, if you just teachers, who's going to teach the students? So they really need to think about all of this, what's going on, because people are looking for Biden to say the go to it. And then I look at Governor Hogan, he's trying to rush the process. He's rushing. He's like, I want to send these kids back as soon as I can. Could have waited until at the end of 2020, well, not end of 2021, but what they call it, fall semester. So we're talking about in the winter days. So give us,
They're literally sending them to school for a month.
yeah, basically. And I'm like, I guess it's the trial run, but I just feel like it's unfair because my sister, she was having a bond with her students who were virtual, and then she's being taken out of that classroom and to watch the students who are inside the school. So she's no longer with those students that she was
Right.
teaching because she
Right.
built that bond. So now they got a whole new teacher, and the progress is probably going to go back to a minimum zero. So they need to think about the dynamic. Like the Board of Education really needs to tread lightly. And I know we're talking about Biden, but that's just something that's been like on my mind lately. Like they really need to slow it down.
You're completely right because before and just to piggy off of it, even though you're talking about the Board of Education, Biden promised 100-day like lockdown. So
Mhm.
I been going to PTA meetings, and this is what threw me. We went to a PTA meeting right before election, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, they're trying to send them back to school, but it's never gonna happen. They're threatening us. Like, if you don't send your kid back into school, they're not going to have the same teacher, like you said.
Yeah.
So, like, basically trying to make you agree to put your kid back in. But it didn't come
Mhm.
back with any votes. Listen, it didn't come back with any votes the last time. So, we're not expecting it to come back with any votes this time. And do you know, as soon as he became president, we received a letter. Oh, y'all are going back to school March 1st. But
Mm.
wait a second. When did we have a discussion? Because I thought that we were currently having a discussion.
Mhm.
That's where it's kind of like crazy. So
Right.
I don't feel like the Board of Education is not connected to Biden or whatever. It's all in one.
Mhm.
They somebody is pressuring us to go back to normal. Um,
And we're not
and
prepared.
I don't know. I feel like if you have to put your teachers in hazmat suits, why are you sending the kids back to school?
No, I agree. We all know the sticky, gross finger
Oh
kids that we
gosh.
see, even before
It just
all the colds and flus that pass around in the
Oh
school.
my goodness.
it's
They think the
disgusting.
same thing won't happen with COVID.
Mm.
It's really insane.
My kids
Yeah.
have been the healthiest they've ever been in their entire life. No
Mhm.
daycare, no school. I seriously would consider homeschooling them, but I would have to pay my parents like thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. So I don't. But that's the thing. Like it's
That's the
just
extent that you're willing to go to, though. It's real.
right because when my son had COVID, he's young. He can't explain to me how he feels.
Mhm.
I watched him sleep because at that very time they had just lost young children.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
like, you gotta wake up, like,
That's reality. It's scary. It's
hey
really, really
yo,
scary.
right?
Time that we're living in is not. It's not normal. It's not something we've ever experienced before. It's very, very strange, and it's something we all have to get accustomed to. With that all being said, though, I do think that we should be aware that this is still, within Biden's first 100 days. I think we're still within his
Right.
30 days or so.
Yeah.
We should give him some more time. There's only so much a president can do as is.
Right.
There's only
Definitely.
so much he can do within his first 30 days and his first 100 days at that. So I think we should give him some more time, see how things move and shake as we go, but still hold him accountable the same way we would hold anybody else in power accountable.
Right.
But with that being said, I think we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the pause. All right, guys, and we are back. We are back with a pulse. Make sure you guys are liking, sharing, tag a couple of your friends, because if you like it, I'm sure somebody else will like it just as much. Make sure you guys are following us at New Kingdom TV on Facebook and Instagram. And with that being said, let's get back into it. Now, we talked about Joe Biden. We talked about a couple of his promises, a couple of his half-truths that he's told. But another thing in our government that has been keeping us, some would say, distracted would be the trial, an impeachment trial with former President Donald Trump and his now acquittal in said impeachment trial. Some people would say this is a distraction to keep us, blindsided from the fact that the government is still not working on stimulus, still not working on economic relief for the people. But some say it was actually worth it to make sure that he doesn't come back and make sure that he isn't able to wreak havoc in government in the same capacity that he was able to originally. But I mean, I guess I can see both sides of the arguments. Does anybody have some ideas they like to share on the topic?
They're just wasting their breath. I'm sorry. Like I feel like these 4 years of everybody just complaining about him. I've not once, like, honestly, just uttered that man's name out of my mouth enough, like everybody else has. And I feel maybe it's just me, but I just feel like people have focused so much on him. Y'all wasting your energy on this man. And I understand, like, okay, yes, he's done a lot, and trust me, like, he gonna get his. Trust me, he gonna get got when his time comes. But I just feel like there's so many things that's going on in Congress. There's so many things going on that's a distraction. Like, people really need to understand that. Like you said, the stimulus checks, where is that at? What's going on? What's Congress doing? What they're passing? And people are worried about, oh, they need to impeach Trump. Okay, we got a new president right now. Let's focus on what he's doing instead of worrying about this man who has ruined the country. But they've ruined the country. The same people that look just like him have ruined this country for decades. Okay, this is not the first man who has done something like that. So it's nothing different. It's just that he amplified all the things that were pushed under the rug over the years, over the decades. And I think people just need to understand that we just need to pay attention more to what's going on, especially in our own state, because we just worrying about just what's going on in the media. And I think we just need to turn off the TVs and just start doing our own research and really paying attention to what's going on in Congress.
I agree. With that being said, I think one of the main fighting points, at least that I've seen in my social media sphere, for going through with the impeachment trial, is that once impeached, whether he be president currently or former president, he will no longer be able to run for government office or hold public office. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people were really harping on, that they do not want him to have a chance to come back in 2024. Samia, do you have any thoughts on that?
I was going to say the same thing as you. The people were mostly concerned and fearful of his, return in any capacity. They didn't want him to be able to do that. And that was important to them. But a lot of people are hopeful that in the next 4 years that he won't even be a free man. So I feel like the people who spoke on that, McConnell and them, they felt like, you know, he's gonna get his, like Armani said, and they're more hopeful that it will be easier for them to just allow him to get him, like whatever's gonna happen to him. But I feel like it's a huge distraction.
Yeah.
Every time I see anything and I can't go on any other channel and that's what I see, that's when I stop paying attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm like, I'm on ABC, I'm on NBC, I'm on CBS. I don't want to see this. So that's when I'm like, I'm not looking at nothing. Why are y'all trying to distract me? You know, like, you know, even if something bad happened in Baltimore City and then they stop all the news channels and everything else, no. What are you trying to keep me from noticing? Like, if I can't see anything but what you're trying to tell me, I'm very I'm very paranoid, if you might, if you want, when it comes to what they feed me through the media. I don't want what you're feeding me. I want to know what I need to know. And I really feel like this is not the time to focus on, you know, whatever they're trying to tell you. We have to be mindful and know exactly what's going on. There's avenues to figure out what they're delegating. There's avenues to find out what they're currently talking about. We can listen to their meetings. You know, a lot of people don't. But
I just did last week. And
a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people don't do it. And that's why they put that stuff up on TV, because they think you're not going to change the channel.
Yes. And
so, you know, we have access. We need to utilize it, especially right now.
Go ahead, Armani. I think you had a point you wanted to make. Go right ahead.
No, I was going to say, just kind of like bouncing off of what you said to me. Maryland Congress, our senators have just voted on 2 important police accountability bills this week. Well, yes, this week. And last week I was on Twitter. I was just all over Twitter, just talking about it, because I was like, you say you follow me?
No, I said Twitter has been on fire at least the last.
No, for real, it has. Yes, but with that, there's 2 police accountability bills, which is Senate Bill 627, which is the repeal of the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights, and it has several different things that's going on right now where they're trying to make sure. It's just several different things that we should be definitely paying attention to. And then the other one is Anton's Law, which is in honor of a young Black man named Anton Black, who was killed by law enforcement a couple years ago. And they made a bill in honor of him to protect the certain rights. And those are the 2 bills that we really should be focusing on, especially because I know ACLU, the NAACP, they're pushing it. They're trying to get people to pay attention, but because what's going on in the news, people are not paying attention, because I mean, it's available. You can watch the sessions on YouTube. They just don't make it public enough, and we just have to go and find it. We have to be in tune with what's going on, because if we're not, like Samia said, they're gonna pass stuff. They're gonna reject stuff, because we were on the brink of them not passing those at all, or changing it up to the point where they dilute dilute basically its strength to hold police accountable for their actions. And it's, you know, it's scary to see, like, because I saw the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, they was out there in numbers. Like, I feel like we have to be just.
They're bullies.
They're trying so hard to make sure these bills don't pass, because they know they will lose power. But at the moment,
they're extremely powerful.
Definitely.
Extremely powerful and extremely influential, and they have the money to back it. They have the what's the word for age? Like, you know, they're old.
The track record.
They are old and here to stay.
Yes.
So you know, and these are the type of organizations that we need to be watching. And that's what people don't understand. There are lots of organizations like the FOP. People are so concerned about President Trump. There's organizations that, like I said, Congress is getting paid.
Yes.
You know, we have to be able, and what we need to know is they have to give us access to what they're doing. but they don't have to publicize it, like Armani
Nope.
said. So they don't have to post on Facebook like me and you do. Hey, watch the polls.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They just going to go right ahead and let their show go. They don't want viewers.
They don't want us to know.
They don't want viewers. They don't want naysayers. So they don't want viewers. So, but they have to give us access to every single thing they do.
I think it's very easy to draw public opinion and public attention, especially to something that's chaotic or messy or drama, especially like a trial for the former president who half the country totally despises and half the country is all behind. I think that's the perfect thing to draw public attention from things that are not only going on locally, like Armani was saying about local Maryland police laws and whatnot, but also a Maryland stimulus check. A lot of people didn't know that the state of Maryland just passed a $300, it's not much, but a $300 stimulus check for every Maryland citizen. There are stipulations for dependents and whatnot, but a lot of people don't know that. Another local thing that's being distracted from. But not even local distractions, there are national distractions that we are being drawn away from with this trial. And one of those national distractions being, what are they doing in Congress? What are they doing in the House of Representatives as far as economic relief, as far as stimulus relief for the people? I mean, they're focusing very heavily on this trial. But with that being said, we've been in this pandemic for almost a year now. And let's go back over it. We had, two stimulus checks. And what then? Even President Biden said we should be expecting a $2,000 stimulus check soon. And he backtracked on that and said now it's going to be $1,400, if that even goes through with what they're talking about now. So I guess my question would be, what are the people in Congress doing? I mean, as they're trying to draw attention and distract us with this trial, what are they doing behind the scenes? What should they be doing? What could they be doing? Let's talk about it.
Congress is in their own pockets. They're not concerned with our pockets. They're not concerned with whether or not we are eating or take for instance Texas. Texas is frozen. And
Texas never gets snow. It's the southernmost south of the South. They never get snow.
Texas was frozen. Texas flooded. Ted Cruz on vacation.
Gone. Nowhere to go.
So that's what we need to understand. He's not the only one that don't care. He's not the only one that don't care. I hate to dog out, poor Hogan. But he don't care.
Really, you feel bad for Hogan? Really?
I don't foo bad for any of them. But I figured I'd be nice and try to say something nice. But anyway, boo-hoo. These people don't care nothing about us. Nancy Pelosi, she's like putting on a show for the last year and a half. Like, boo-boo, you're not a Saturday Night Live comedian. Like, you're in Congress. Stop playing games. Like, she makes me really want to slap her, but that's just me, because they're not concerned with actual problems. They're concerned with their ego.
They don't care about their power.
Who's in charge, who's not in charge. They're concerned with, I look better in a suit than they do. Shut up. Like, they're not really concerned.
I was talking with my parents the other day. That's very funny that you bring up the concern topic. I was literally just talking to my parents last night about how it's so wild to think of that these people have been in office for forever, however long they've been in there, for some of them longer than I've even been alive, most of them. And it's crazy to think about, like, these are the people who are up in their offices arguing over whether we should get a $1,400 stimulus check or a $2,000 stimulus check, but they don't live the life that I live, and they don't live the life that you live. They don't live the same life that we live. Like, for example, this is a story I told my parents. It was pretty funny. I don't think any congressman or congresswoman has ever had to sit in the McDonald's drive-thru and consider whether or not they were going to get the $5 meal or the $6 meal because they only had $7 left in their bank account, and that really made a difference to them. Like, I don't think anybody has really been in that point where $1,400 and $2,000 really does, it would really change your life, especially after being in a pandemic for a year. I don't think that people really understand that. I don't think they're really concerned for us as the citizens. I don't think they are. They
do not have any clue. They don't know about the mother who worked 6 different jobs last year. Trying to make up for the fact that I worked in mental health, and mental health was gone. Pandemic, mental health, gone.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that I'm up on my feet. I started a whole nother career, but I'm only one person. It's like, how many people worked with me? Exactly. I don't know what happened to them. So the 22 people that worked at my job who all got the same letter as me. Hey, we're not gonna pay you half of the money that we usually pay you. By the way, we didn't pay you nothing in the first place, but take this half.
And make
they
good
don't
luck.
understand. When they sent me that first stimulus check, I took care of everything I could possibly take care of because I didn't know what was going to happen.
When it was coming again. Mm-hmm.
So that's what you don't understand my struggle because you don't got one. Your struggle is, am I going to take the money from this food or take the money from that food? And then am I going to lie about
here this month or here this month? Right.
Right. Am I going to vacation in Barbados or Bali?
Or Cancun? Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
Boo, like you're not me, and you don't care nothing about me. And it's crazy because I don't care. The people that have been working at my job for 20 years, they're amazing at their job. The people who have been doctors for 20 years can probably point out an illness without even really getting all the information. But these people have been doing their jobs for decades and terrible at their job. How you do your job for decades and don't get no better at your job?
I'm just asking. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, yeah, I agree. Definitely. I definitely went on a rant tangent on Twitter about that, especially like our senators, they claim that, when they first get elected that they're for the people and that they ran for office because they care about us. But as soon as they get really into deep, they become so power hungry, they only care about themselves and their opinion, and they forget about the people that they serve. When you become a senator, you become a delegate, and you become a representative of the people. That's who you are supposed to serve. But they somehow forget that, and then here we are. Here we are complaining about the fact that our leaders of this country and of our state and of our city, county, wherever you are, we're complaining about the fact that they don't care. And this is why we have to be very vigilant and very aware of who we put in office. And we need to run for office as well. Like, I'm somebody who, I know, what's the one lady's name? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Had no degree in political science, but yes, she is a congresswoman. So here's your chance. If you are out here and you know about the people and you know about the struggles of these people, why not go and run? Why not run for council? Why not run for county council? Why not run for Congress? Because these people don't know what they don't even live in some of our areas. Some of them don't. And even if they do, they're not in touch with the people. They're not coming and knocking on people's doors, knowing if people are hungry. They're not coming to the churches to help and deliver food to people who are hungry. They're not out there. They're not in touch with the people because they don't want to. They only care about having attention. They don't care about the money and about the fame and all that stuff. But they in there for 10,
even
10,
our
15
local
years.
delegates. Even our local delegates. My father knows all of them, and I've critiqued them many times. They've been invited to like a service or something. They come for like 15 minutes. No, somebody told you to come to church. You going to church. You go to church the whole time, boo boo. Why you only staying for 10 minutes?
Exactly.
But that's just them being out of touch.
Yes,
I think that goes back to the conversation we were having last week with Judas and Judas and the Black Messiah about people being after that thirst for power and just wanting, to have their name in the lights. You know what I mean? It's very much nobody wants to be a leader for the people. You know what I mean? Nobody really wants to be concerned for the people. Everybody just wants to have that title, have that office, have that, that's that star, the gold star behind their name, so to speak. But with that being said, I mean, we can sit on here and talk about, all the issues that we have with these people for hours, minutes, days, weeks. But that's not really going to change much. You know what I mean? There has to be some sort of action, something that we can do. And I think for some people, at least for myself, I could say it can seem a bit daunting, a bit frustrating, because it seems like such a big, impossible task to, quote unquote, take on the system or take on the government. But if you think about it, I mean, they're regular, everyday people just like me and you. They just have a couple million votes behind them. You know what I mean? I think that it can seem super daunting to try to take on or challenge the system that oppresses you. But I think that there are some small actions that we can take individually and bigger actions that we can take as a conglomerate of oppressed people, whether that be people who are socioeconomically oppressed, people who are racially oppressed, people who are oppressed due to their gender, whatever the case may be. I think that if we band together, there are larger actions that we can take as a whole, as well as smaller actions we can take on an individual scale. But I want to ask you ladies, what do you guys think? What are some actions that we can take to try to change our government and the world around us?
We have to start holding people accountable.
Definitely.
That's the number one. Like, we have to hold them accountable. We have to demand, our necessary rights, things that we need, attention to things that are wrong. Like, you need to pay attention to this, you need to do that. We have to come together and unite and hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Nothing is successful without accountability. So I don't know why we expect our government to work the way that we want it to work when we don't hold them accountable. We've spent the last 4 years allowing all kinds of things. And before those 4 years, we've been allowing a lot. So I feel like it's at this time, in the heat of the moment, it's time to really start to hold accountability. Start with your local, then you can reach out past your county or city to your state, and then way out in the atmosphere. You got to keep going, because it's necessary.
So for me, I think also just getting to know your delegates, your senators, because I think watch the congressional sessions, because you will be surprised how they show out. I just watched one of those senators. I think it was Senator Castley. I don't know if he is one of the senators for Harford County. He showed out. He showed out, and I was like, oh, you one of those people, okay?
Right, exactly.
And they act out because they know people aren't watching.
And
their sessions be long. Their sessions are long. So it's like about a 2-hour video, 2-hour session. I said, okay, I'm gonna watch some of it today, some of it tomorrow, some of it the next day. And I realized that, these people, you gotta, like she said, hold them accountable. Also contact them. Blow up their phone. Call them out on Twitter, on Facebook, because they definitely want to hear from you. We need to show out in numbers. I actually watched a lot of people testify for the two bills that I mentioned earlier, and it was a lot of people that showed out, just as much as the FOP, but we had people show out that were civilians who are part of organizations. I actually wrote a letter of support for one of them, but I didn't get to do like the actual testimony. But doing testimonies, actually going up there and saying that you support something, just show your face, because they think people aren't watching, but we actually need to start really holding them accountable and being in their faces so they know that we are watching.
No, I agree. We're going to get ready to close it up, but I think a nice closing thought would be just to remember, with holding these people accountable, I don't think I understand why it can be very daunting and frustrating for us, especially as young people, like I said earlier. But like I said, I think we have to remember that these are regular, everyday people, other than the fact that they might have, a little more money in the bank than I do. And I mean, the really only difference between me and them is they have a suit on and their name tag on the door. You know what I mean? I can still talk to them and voice my concerns because I'm the one who put them in that office. So I'm the one who can, I'm the one who's there to hold them accountable. Like Samir and I'm saying, I'm the one who's there to hold them accountable. They earned my vote, so now they have to continue to prove that they earned my vote. I think that's something that we can all do as individuals, and I think that's a really good point that you ladies made. But with that being said, I think we are running out of time. This has been a great show, ladies. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I want to encourage you all to go ahead and share with your friends. Like I said earlier, if you like it, I'm sure somebody else will like it just as much, if not more. Go ahead and comment, and follow us, New Kingdom TV on Facebook and Instagram, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you all.